Hi there, this is AJ Devanis reporting for WMBN. An update in the story of the mysterious disappearance of a local boy reported first here on Wednesday. Young Huckleberry Finn was apparently left at the cabin of his father, Pat Finn, while Mr. Finn went into town. Upon his return, Mr. Finn discovered a beaten indoor and numerous missing items, including his son. As he followed a trail of blood to the edge of the river, Mr. Finn surmised from the signs of struggle that his son Huck was likely dead. A path of spilled cornmeal leading upriver has led him to believe that his son was murdered by robbers. Mr. Finn is currently missing himself. Adding to the mystery of the disappearance of young Huck is the news that a slave belonging to the boy's former guardians has reportedly run off on the same evening as the boy's disappearance. Authorities are still searching for the slave, who has only been identified as Jim. Investigators are reportedly looking for links between these three disappearances. Stay tuned for further updates.
I'm Bethany Brote here with a forensic team at Jackson's Island, which is located on the Mississippi River on the border between Illinois and Missouri. It has reportedly always been deserted, that is, until recently. Numerous reports have come in of apparent campfire smoke coming from the island, and 2 sightings within the past week have arisen of people on the island. Mr. Loftus, a newcomer to St. Petersburg, and another unnamed man searched the island one evening following a smoke sighting made by Mr. Loftus' wife, Judith. 2 men reportedly found a burning campfire at the head of the island and a cavern on a steep hill in the middle of the island, which showed signs of recent habitation. Though these discoveries may not have necessarily mean anything, the recent disappearances of Mr. Pat Finn, his son Huck, and the slave Jim are on the minds of locals. For ourselves, we will continue our investigation into this matter. If anyone has further information regarding the missing persons or concerning Jackson's Island, please contact Judge Thatcher immediately.
Oh. In other news.
Hi, I'm here about 15 miles from Cairo. Here we are, according to river authorities, the steamship Walter Scott has beached itself on a sandy knoll in the area and has been found sunken due to heavy storms. Our first and primary source of this information, the local ferry captain, had received a report that people were possibly on board the Walter Scott at the time of its sinking. The captain had immediately set sail up the river to the wreck only to find it sunken. Authorities are currently searching for survivors. However, hopes are dwindling. We have also received word that 3 more men have gone missing the night of the Walter Scott that it reportedly sank. Jim Turner, Jake Packard, and a 3rd unnamed man has been seen only since the accident. Investigators believe 3 men may have been the ones reported about the wrecked ship. Thank you, and I am Jackie McMichael reporting live from Cairo.
Hello, y'all. Christian Adams here with this week's weather report. Keep your lanterns lit in Cairo. Expect some foggy days ahead. A low-pressure system, immediately followed by a high-pressure system that is swiftly moving down to the river. Keep your boats tied down and tight, because there is a thunderstorm coming that's going to be a whopper. It looks like there's some endless sunny days ahead in the near future for everyone. That is your weather. I am the weather god, Christian Adams.
Spur reporting from the shores of the Mississippi River, just south of Cairo. More than 30 years ago, on this very land, a now sacred feud began between the Shepherdson and Grangerford families. This conflict reportedly started over a lawsuit between 2 members of these families. Today, neither the reason nor the outcome of this lawsuit is known, yet its effects still continue. In the past few days alone, we have received nearly a dozen reports of deaths in this area, including those of 2 young boys. Buck and Joe Grangerford were found just yesterday on these very shores, dead from multiple gunshot wounds. Sources say that this recent bloodshed is likely due to the engagement of Harney Shepherdson and Sophia Grangerford. Enraged over the elopement of these 2 young people, both families again turned on each other with shotguns in hand. Stay tuned, as this is still a developing story. More will follow, and until then, this is Lydia Spur reporting for the Mississippi Basin News.
Author news. Hippopotamus. Hippopotamus.
Two fugitives on the run from the law. One is said to be selling a destructive paste for removing tartar along with, unfortunately, the enamel. Farmers have released a hound to track the two men. They are thought to have escaped down the river, effectively leaving no scent for the hound to trace.
Hello, I'm Max Gary, here with WMBN News. I'm here in a town where a series of tragic and exciting events began when a local, known only as Boggs, showed up for what many townspeople have called his usual fun night. According to sources, Boggs was heavily intoxicated and was indulging himself in his favorite pastime of threatening one Colonel Sherburne. The colonel reportedly came out and informed Boggs that he would only tolerate his behavior up until about 1 o'clock. Despite this warning, Boggs continued his threats until about 1:45, at which point several townspeople attempted to extract Boggs from the makings of his own trap. With me now is one of the two townsmen who attempted to get Boggs out of there before Colonel Sherburne fired the shots. Would you please tell us what happened?
Well, we'd seen 'twas past 1 o'clock, and he decided we need to get Boggs out of here. We're way out of gun's range. Me and the neighbor was trying to rush Boggs off, and we heard the colonel singing out Boggs' name. We ducked, but poor Boggs, he was too drunk to know anything but cry for mercy. The colonel aimed his pistol at Boggs and put 2 pieces of lead in it. Then he just walked off as if nothing had happened.
Daughter, having arrived shortly before the shots were fired, helped carry her father into a nearby building where he died shortly later of blood loss. Apparently, as word spread of the shooting, sentiments grew with the population against Colonel Sherburne, till late this evening when they finally exploded into a lynch mob, led probably by one Buck Harkness. Jane Remington, would you please tell us what happened that night?
Well, the mob had to turn down the fence and was trying to burst into the colonel's house when all of a sudden he came out on the roof of his porch. And he just stands there, still as pond water, holding a shotgun and just looking at everybody. Then the mob was silently surprised, and the colonel laughed, and I don't mean no hey, Sunday laugh neither. I mean the kind that chills your bones. And then the colonel starts talking about all them boys in the crowd and how they're just cowards because they come to lynch him in the daylight. And then he picks out old Buck Harness and he tells him that he's half a man. And then he finishes off by cocking his gun and just stands there looking at him. And I tell you, that crowd never cleared, so.
Charges have been placed against the colonel. However, authorities are still investigating for the possibility of a murder charge.
This is AJ Bonis with WNBN News. We're here with a special report. Let's take it over to Brenda Willis.
Mary Jane, Susan, and Joanna. These 3 girls were recently orphaned within this last year, and now they face death once again. Peter Wilkes, the girls' uncle and official guardian, recently passed away, leaving behind $6,000 to his brothers, Harvey and William, of Sheffield, England. Only 3 days ago, 2 men claiming to be Harvey and William stepped off of a steamboat and into our story, and the town readily believed it all. That evening, the brothers read Peter's letter and claimed their inheritance, but surprised the town by giving all the money to the 3 girls. Dr. Robinson, the town physician, quickly claimed the brothers to be false, saying they had very poor accents. The girls, however, were swift to believe their uncles over the doctor and returned the money, making the point that they trusted the men to invest it for them. Later in the night, however, the money disappeared. The following day, many people came to Peter's funeral. At this time, one of the brothers announced that they soon had to return to England, and the auction of the property needed to be held soon. The auction was held only 2 days later. Almost everything had been sold when 2 more men came onto the scene, claiming to be the real Wilkes brothers. Following the new arrivals, a trial arose in the town tavern, led by Dr. Robinson and Levi Bell, close friends of the deceased. Robinson and Bell put these 2 pairs through a number of tests, including a handwriting analysis and personal knowledge of tattoos that Peter may or may not have had. A dispute arose over the issue of the tattoo, resulting in the townspeople unearthing the corpse of Peter Wilkes in order to solve the dilemma. However, the people were sidetracked when they found the mysterious $6,000 hidden inside the casket. Still attempting to unravel this mystery, researchers are also investigating the possibility of the imposters being famous con artists from up the river. These fugitives are running from the law for numerous deceptions, including the royal nonsuch. If anyone has any further information on either the Wilkes family or the fugitives, please contact Dr. Robinson or Mr. Levi Bell. Thank you, and we'll keep you posted.
Slave, Jim, was recently caught just outside of Pikesville. The elderly man who turned in the slave reported only collected 20% of the $200 bounty, saying he had more important things to get up north. Word has it, the slave being held by Silas Phelps at his farm near Pikesville. Phelps plans to hold the slave until his owner can be found. If the owner is not located, Phelps plans to sell the slave himself.
Edmund Kean the Elder and David Garrick the Younger of the London and Continental Theatres will be performing their thrilling tragedy of The King's Camelopard or The Royal Nonsuch for just 2 more nights. Hurry to get a seat because the house will be packed. Man, it sure is packed in there.
I wish I had gotten my ticket earlier.
Yeah.
Word that the runaway slave previously mentioned has been stolen by robbers. Sally Phelps of Pikesville had received a tip through an anonymous letter informing her of the plot. However, added security failed to deter the robbers. Some, however, seemed glad to see the slave gone after catching a view of the shack in which had been living. The interior of the structure and most articles inside were covered with rocks written on clothing and scratched into a set of metal pans found thrown out the window. Mrs. Phelps described the slave as an absolute lunatic. Here we are with Sally Phelps.
All that writing about being a prisoner for years and years and years on end. Well, it's enough to drive just about anyone crazy. The good Lord knows with everything disappearing or reappearing. Well, I almost was myself.
Family gained access to the shack through a tunnel, which terminated under the slave's bed. Also found in the shack were some spoons, a rope ladder, a straw dummy, and numerous small creatures.
Hi there, this is AJ DeBonis with WMBN News. It appears that our last few recent events have all tied together to one boy, Huckleberry Finn, and his adventures on traveling down a raft on the Mississippi with the recently found slave, Jim. Here to elaborate on more of the stories is Max Geary.
Thanks, AJ. Our recent events that we've been broadcasting on over the past few days have indeed all seemed to be connected to the travels of one Huckleberry Finn, the boy we believe to originally have been murdered way up in Missouri. Our recent broadcasts at the Phelps seems to have been the end of Huckleberry's long and lengthy journey. At the Phelpses, Huckleberry apparently was impersonating Tom Sawyer, his former friend up in Missouri and nephew to the Phelpses. Huck and Tom both played a different role, as Huck played Tom and Tom played his younger brother. As they were there, they apparently had a hearty part in the escape of Jim, the slave. Huck and Tom apparently assisted in the escape of Jim, and Tom, while running from the people who were pursuing them, apparently was shot by a loose round. Tom, Huck, and Jim escaped down to the river and were intended to sail down through the raft, but on the discovery of Tom's injury, they were forced to stop and find a doctor. The next morning, Tom had already been brought back to the Phelpses, and Huck made his way back there later that day. Jim had been recaptured as well. In concordance with this, Aunt Polly, Tom's aunt from up in Missouri, also apparently arrived, bringing the story to an even greater twist. Now, with the continuing of this information, we have learned through interviews down at the Phelpses that Miss Watson, Jim's former owner, had passed away, leaving Jim free in her will. Also with this news, and with the seemingly happy ending to this all, Aunt Sally apparently intended to adopt Huck and, quote, civilize him, as she informed interviewers down at the farm. However, it appears that Huck has once again disappeared. From an interview with Jim, we learned that he had said he intended to light out for the territory as he had been tried being civilized before and wanted no more of it.
Thank you, Max. This is AJ DeBonis with WMBN News. Thanks for watching.